I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in November in Vancouver, and I'm joined by Mike Konnert of Vizsla Resources. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So you guys are in the process of almost done raising about $6 million. Is that the number?
$6 million. That's
yeah.
Right, yeah.
And this is to attack, I'm going to say, this project that you have acquired pretty recently down in Mexico.
Right.
So Panuco is like a historic silver district, and it's an interesting deal where you have a bit of a defined time frame here. You have sort of 2 years to demonstrate that there's a lot of silver there, and if that's the case, then you have the opportunity for a pretty low cost, $40 million, to basically enter into operation right away. So it's an interesting structure. How are you going to do it? How, in the next 6 months, in the next year, what's the plan of attack to demonstrate that this district has the potential that you guys think it does?
Well, the first step started maybe about 6 months ago when we were trying to convince Charles Funke, who's our VPX, to join the team, and he did that maybe a few months ago. And so, how we're going to do that, Charles is, someone that we put in a lot of kind of faith in, and someone that we know can perform on this. So, he's been down there already, and what he's been doing is basically defining 2 drill targets for the company. And the first one is basically underneath the old workings on the Animus vein, which is probably the most exploited vein of the 20 veins in the district. It's the one that's been producing for the most amount of time and probably produced the most amount of silver. So what we're doing there is looking underneath the water table, looking underneath all of the old workings, and Charles is drill targeting there. And then the other target type that we're working on is something basically going after the preserved ore shoots, ore shoots that haven't been mined and certainly haven't been drilled, and those would be elsewhere on the other 19 veins in the whole district. And again, we have about 75 kilometers of vein extent that outcrop, and we know about now. So there's a lot of areas for targeting. So we're basically ranking, prioritizing those targets. Then in January, we'll start the drilling process and work towards a resource definition.
And I know in talking to Charles, when he describes the opportunity, he talks about you need a lot of vein strike to find the areas that have the really good stuff in them.
Yeah.
And you guys have that. You have 75 kilometers of vein, which is a lot in a whole bunch of different veins that you know about. There's probably more that you don't know about. So then it's a matter, like we say, of finding the good zones.
Yeah.
You guys have released some sampling results already for the areas that you've been able to get into, and they've been. I think the last set was particularly important because it was samples from from places across the property with some amazing results.
So originally we announced, I think it was 6 meters of over a kilo material on several different levels, multiple intercepts of kilo plus material on the San Antonio mine. 6 kilometers away from that on a cluster of other veins, we announced up to 4 kilos silver, 3 kilos silver, over half a meter and a meter, respectively. So, and then another, very mineable width of kilo material. So it's very high grade. And what we demonstrated with that result was essentially that there's high grade mineralization is widespread over the property. And that's our goal, is to demonstrate the district potential of this high grade material.
And I think the market, the financing has been well received. The stock in general, people are pretty interested in it. And I think that speaks to the project, obviously, the grades and the district scale. But it also speaks to the scarcity of silver projects. We all know that silver outperforms gold once the precious metals market gets going. And we always want to have that, strong leverage exposure to silver, and it's hard to find. So this Vizsla sort of steps into, I think by design, I would say, sort of steps into that opportunity.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's true. There is a scarcity of, there's a scarcity of high-grade silver. There's a scarcity of silver deals in general. But, I think there's a scarcity of actual new deals. This is the first time that this has ever been consolidated. It's the first time this form of it has ever been in a Canadian public company. Yeah. And so it's not something that's been optioned a bunch of times and drilled by 15 different companies over the last 40 years. It's a real new story, and it's in Mexico, and it's going to be very exciting.
Good times. Well, congrats on pulling it all together and the financing, and good luck with this. You've got a big busy road ahead of you.
That's right. Thank you.